Hello everyone and welcome back. In the last session we saw how we were able to eliminate the need to enter any data into these cells here because we were able to look up the information based on the IDs of these other tables, these reference tables, the customer table and the product table, and bring the data in automatically using Xlookup. So to continue with this theme, we can have a look at the order table here and see is there anything else we can do that would further reduce the need for user input. And immediately I can see that on this here, on the order number, there's a repetition of order number here all the way down. And for each order number, there's just one customer. So it's one all the way down there for this particular order. And there's also just one order date. So it's the same order date for each order number. So at the moment I have to put in the order number, the line ID, then I have to put in the order date, the quantity, the customer ID, and the product ID. What I'd like to be able to do is to automate the entry for the order date and the customer ID as they are both linked to the order number. So one way to do this is to create a new little table based on order number as the ID, unique ID, to pull in these particular fields here. And that's what I've done with this table here. So if I click on order reference, I can see that I've made a very simple little table here. And it's just got the order ID entered once, so order 1001, 1002. And then the order date here is entered just once. And the customer ID is entered just once. For every order, you just put in the order date once and the customer ID once. Also, just for a bit of fun, I've created a little invoicing numbering system here. So I can base an invoice based off the order ID. So it's just a little formula that says put invoice dash before the last three numbers of the order ID. Now that we have this reference table, and in the table design here I've called it order reference. So in this reference table, I'm just going to put an Xlookup now in our main orders table. So for the order date, I say equals X lookup. So I'm looking up the order number, and I'll just go to our function wizard here. The lookup array for the order number is now in the orders reference table. Again, it's unfiltered and select all the data in the table. The return array in this instance is the date. So I'll move this again and select the date field. If not found, I'll say not found, keep it simple, and say OK. And overwrite all cells in the column with this formula is what we want, and that's it. So this, of course, is unfiltered as well, the table we're pasting to. And again, I can just Control-C that and copy it to the customer ID, Control-V. I can just edit that formula now to return the customer ID. So I just go to the function wizard. It's looking for the date in the return array. We don't want the date, we want the customer ID. So again, we select all the customer ID fields in that table. It says it's found number one, which is great. Now it's telling me here that the formula result is a date, and that's because I copied the formula over and it was a date format, so I can change that easy enough when I go back. So here it says a date. I'm just going to change that to a number, general, and then I'll copy that all the way down. So now you'll see that if I change the order number here to 1002, you'll see the customer ID changes to 4, which is the customer for 1002, and the order date changes to the 12th of the 1st. So I don't have to bother with those anymore. I'll go back to 1001. So we've used the reference tables of product and customer, but also we've managed to use some features of the order table itself to create a small reference table for the orders, so we don't have to put in order dates and customer IDs separately for each order line. So now we're just left with having to enter in the order number, the ID, the order quantity, and the product ID. So it's only those four columns you have to worry about from now on for data entry. All these other columns, if you wanted to, could be hidden from view, and we could just tab through the orders very quickly. So that's it for this clip. In the next clip, we'll be looking at conditional formatting and data validation. So hopefully you can tune in for that, and see you then. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.